out the future, the forecast, the world story. Daniel got it all. And he told Daniel what the empires were going to look like, one after another after another. And so once we get that locked into our head, we should be thinking, this is pretty cool, because God told us what was going to happen. I should say it differently. He told Daniel what was going to happen, and so far, what has happened? Everything exactly as God said it would. And so that is where we need to be in our faith walk with the Lord, is that history has proven that when God makes a promise, what happens? He keeps it, okay? And so lock that in today, specifically when the word covenant comes up. Covenant is a contractual promise, is the easiest way for Rick to remember that. And so if we step out of Sunday school terms, I want that. So when we say covenant, we're just going to say it's a good promise from God. He has locked it in. It is what it is. It's exactly what he said, and it's going to happen, okay? And so, catch us back up. God has told Daniel, this is the layout, okay? Okay, let's go start in chapter 9. And we're going to talk about sabbatical year consequences, okay? Great. That sounds like Sunday school, doesn't it? Must be a good place to start. Here we go. In the first year of Darius, son of Xerxes, a Mede by descent, who was made ruler over the Babylonian kingdom. Where are we? 539, 538 before Christ, okay? We're in the first year of the Medo-Persian Empire under Cyrus Darius. So, we look here, what do we know? Right now, when we're looking back, we look in the Bible, we say, where are we in history? Babylon, where are they? Toast. Now we have just started this section of history, okay? All right. I'm just going to jump ahead and tell you that the captivity of the Jews, God said would last 70 years, okay? Now, we can argue about when the 70 years started, and even Daniel, in this moment, has a feeling, okay? What is this feeling? He's feeling like 70 years has got to be about up, all right? And so I want you to take that feeling as we walk ahead here, and Daniel starts praying, and this thing will start to gel together. I think I said this last week, but listen, we're all squirrels checking out all the nuts in the world, and it's hard to just stay laser focused. Today, stay laser focused, okay? There's just so much in here that if you get distracted, you're gonna, all of a sudden you'll get and you won't know where we are, okay? So stay with me. All right, here we go. A term that I want to just cover quick is the term desolation. It's a great Sunday school term. What are we talking about? Desolation is a biblical term that refers to a state of emptiness, of ruin, of devastation. So in American terms, we would say it's a complete wipeout. All right? Massive destruction. This is important. It's often used to describe the aftermath of divine judgment. There's another key phrase there, divine judgment or iniquity. And we're going to see that word iniquity come up as we go through this chapter, but I need it to click in your head that this is the divine wrath of God. Why? Why is that divine wrath happening? Because the Jewish people did everything they were supposed to do? No. Because they rebelled, okay? And if you think back to Matthew, we said, how do we prove to the world that we're saved? By enduring and by obedience. So here we are, we jump back into the Old Testament, and what do we constantly see about Israel? Were they obedient? No. They were not. And so the other part of this that we're going to get into this today is an if-then statement. And so we can go back to math class and we say, if this happens, then this happens. We can go to statistics. We can go to parenting. If you do this, then what happens? The carrot or the stick, right? Or if you do this, you get a prize, or all of that, okay? It's the same thing. And so, again, hang on to that. We have so many things to hang on to right now, you don't have enough time to go look for other nuts in the room. We got to stay focused here, okay? All right. There is 70 years of captivity that was promised, okay? And it was the if-then statement. If you rest your land every 7 years, what will happen? I'll take care of you. You can actually get by without working the land, okay? And what do we know about the Sabbath in Jewish culture? That was a day of rest, okay? And so not only did God require that people rested, but that the land would have a chance of rest. It's interesting, I don't consider myself an agriculture guru, but what have we done in recent time in terms of letting our land rest? Thank you. Okay? If we were to go back in history, not that far, what did farmers do?
Rotate and rest.
Rotate and rest. And then we said, I can't really afford the rest part, and so what am I going to do? I'm going to pound it with nitrogen, or whatever, you fill in the blank, okay? Seems like a bad idea if you're here, okay? It's just interesting parallel, all right? Let's keep going here. The other piece that, well, first of all, Daniel's probably around 81 years old now, okay? He is a spring chicken. He has been at this for a while. He has been out of the land a long while. We said that he probably got exiled at 15 as a ripe teenager, okay? I want you to catch this piece. This, that Daniel believes this is a literal year setup, okay? That it's not symbolic. God didn't say, I'm going to give you a symbol of this captivity thing, and it's going to feel like 70 years. When he said 70 years, guess what? That's what he meant. And again, Daniel is doing math in his head. And what do we know about Daniel in his head? This dude's the smartest guy in the room. He can count to 70. He may not know exactly what day that started, but he can count to 70, and he knows he's probably around year 67. He's getting close, okay? So that will be more meaningful to you as we get into Daniel's prayer. It's just super interesting. And I'm going to get way ahead of myself, okay? I said I'm going to have trouble today, so let me just swallow that thought for a second. All right. All right. Come on. All right. This is just a picture of the ruins of what they believe is the north palace of Nebuchadnezzar's palace. This is probably, this area is where Daniel is praying, okay? Daniel got to live in the palace area, all right? He was a big shot. We often forget Daniel is such a high quality guy that even when the people that showed up that wanted to take over the kingdom, somehow he gets picked out of the crowd. Is Daniel a Babylonian? Was he a Babylonian, by blood, big shot? No, he was a slave. And what happened? Talk about working your way to the top, right? He's an outcast.
Divine intervention.
Of course. That is an assumed part, because where are we today? We're in Sunday school, okay? All right. This new empire shows up, and Daniel rises to the top. How soon did he rise to the top? It appears day one. I would call that an outstanding reputation. When this new king shows up, and we talked about this last week, when you're a king, do you want smart people or dumb people around you? You want the smartest people that you can get, right? How long did it take to figure out that Daniel was a smart dude? One day. I think that's outstanding. And there's probably a lesson in there for each of us at the same time, okay? That's another nut over in the tree. We're going to leave it alone, all right? Let's keep going. Okay, verse 2. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood from the scriptures, according to the word of the Lord given to Jeremiah the prophet, that the desolation, or the wipeout, okay, of Jerusalem would last 70 years. Again, 70 literal years, okay? So I turned to the Lord God, and I pleaded with him in prayer and petition, in fasting and in sackcloth and ashes. He was physically prepared to go before the Lord, humbly as you could get. He was spiritually, mentally, and physically prepared. And as we go into this prayer, we just said, Daniel is a high-quality guy. Since a teenager, he has walked the line for who? For the Lord. For the right God, right? And in spite of that, where is he? He's a slave, okay? But he has been totally devoted. And so it's just interesting to me, as we go through this prayer, this guy is top of the class in integrity, in ethics, in his love for the Lord, and yet he's in a bad spot. And when he comes before the Lord, he starts pouring out himself as the biggest sinner in the room. It's amazing that he understands the gap between holiness and himself. And he's the best in the class, okay? All right. And so I prayed to the Lord my God and confessed, real quick. I prayed to the Lord my God. Right there, that term for Lord is Yahweh. And one of the meanings of that term Yahweh is covenant keeper. How did we start this morning? God is a keeper of his promises. That is actually a character of God. And what do we know, because we're Sunday school scholars, about the character of God? It will not, it cannot change. Lock that in. Because God made a promise, and who's he praying to? He's praying to the promise keeper. All right? The promise keeper is what he needs right now. Because Daniel can do math. He's getting excited, and he's getting concerned, and he's getting riled up because he might not be seeing this transition that's going to happen. Like, okay, Lord, where are you? Okay, I know we're getting close to 70. We might be at 70. I don't know exactly what day this started, but you are the contract keeper. I need you to show up in American terms, okay? Let's keep going. Lord, I don't want to read this too fast. This is an outstanding prayer, an example of a prayer type that we should learn to pray ourselves, okay? Lord, the great and awesome God who keeps his covenant, his contract of love with those who love him and keep his commandments. There's the obedience side. We have sinned and done wrong. Who's the we? Israel. We can take this in context for ourselves as well. We have been wicked and have rebelled. We have turned away from your commands and laws. We have not listened to your servants, the prophets, who spoke in your name, to our kings, our princes, and our ancestors, and to all the people of the land. Lord, you are righteous. But this day, let me back up to righteous because I don't want us to pass over this. What did we say righteous meant? A high moral standard. Put that in the context of God's holy character. How high is that standard? I don't know if we can measure it, but it's up there, okay? I would say it's immeasurable. Lord, you are righteous, but this day we are covered with shame. The people of Judah. What people? The people of Judah. This is very specific, okay? And the inhabitants of Jerusalem. What city? Jerusalem. Start to hang on to this. Who are we talking about? The Jews in the city of Jerusalem, okay? And all Israel, both near and far, in all the countries where you have scattered us because of our unfaithfulness to you. We and our kings, our princes, and our ancestors are covered with shame. Lord, because we have sinned against you, the Lord our God is merciful and forgiving, even though we have rebelled against him. That little piece is amazing. We have not obeyed the Lord our God or kept the laws he gave us through his servants, the prophets. All Israel has transgressed your law and turned away, refusing to obey you. Therefore, okay, we just hit the if-then statement. Therefore, the curses and sworn judgments written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, have been poured out on us because we have sinned against you. And now we're kind of going to this foreshadow part. You have fulfilled the words spoken against us and against our rulers by bringing on us great disaster. Under the whole heaven, nothing has ever been done like what you have done to Jerusalem. We have to just get context again and think back to Moses. God gave Moses commandments, right? That was the beginning of the if-thens. Here's my list. If you follow the list, what happens? I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to bless you. And if you don't, what's going to happen? I'm not going to like it. And there's going to be a consequence. Seems like parent-child here, but there's going to be consequences. And again, why is there a consequence? Because of my high moral standard, because of my righteousness, because of my holiness. Okay? That's why. Keep going. All this disaster has come on us, yet we have not sought the favor of the Lord our God by turning from our sins and giving attention to your truth. Now think about eschatology. Moses lays out the law. God gives them the if-then statements. And Daniel just said, we blew it. We blew it bad. And all of us blew it. And if we blow it, there's going to be a consequence. And then comes this wrath, right? This punishment. And what happens in eschatology, if you think about in the future, when God pours out his wrath, what's the response of the human race? Do they immediately step in line? No.
Rebellious.
They continue to rebel. They continue to rebel. So we have this parallel going on here. All he's doing is describing the character of man. Do things change in the character of man? Are we getting better and better and better as people? Okay, I don't want to get off too far, but just think about the eschatology side of the Old Testament. As we look forward, as we look back, there is this parallel, okay? Verse 14. The Lord did not hesitate to bring the disaster on us, for the Lord our God is righteous. Again, give me the privilege of just throwing holy or high moral standard in there. in everything he does, yet we have not obeyed him. Now, Lord, our God, who brought your people out of Egypt with a mighty hand, look at what he's doing here. He's reminding God about the great things that he did, right? He starts out by reminding the Lord what his character is, and then he reminds the Lord about these massive things that he's done. What does Daniel need right now? He needs God to keep his contract, and he needs God to show up. And he just reminds him, hey, remember how mighty you are? Remember what you did? Okay, let's keep going. With a mighty hand, and who made for yourself a name that endures to this day. We have sinned, we have done wrong. Lord, in keeping with all your righteous acts, turn away your anger and your wrath from Jerusalem, your city. Who's he reminding? He's reminding God that Jerusalem is whose city?
His.
God's city, right? Okay, your holy hill. Our sin, this is an important verse again to hang on to. It's going to use the word iniquity, and this is going to be important as we walk the line of the wrath of God in this iniquity word, okay? Our sins and the iniquities of our ancestors have made Jerusalem and your people an object of scorn to all those around it. Paraphrase, God, Jerusalem is your city, no one else's, and it's an embarrassment to the world. And I don't like it that you're being embarrassed by the condition of your city, okay? Well, I won't get off on that rabbit trail, okay? But just get that, okay? Now, our God, hear the prayers and petitions of your servant. It is amazing to me that Daniel single-handedly is trying to save his nation. God, all these other people, my countrymen, have ignored you, refused you, ran away from you, rebelled to you. And Lord, I'm not perfect either. I admit my sin, but Lord, because of your character and your covenant, your contract, your promise, and because you are mighty, please show up, and I'm going to pray for that on behalf of my people. Okay? For your sake, Lord, look with favor on your desolate sanctuary.
You know, I always think, why didn't they change? Why didn't they change? It's so obvious. But we do the same thing.
We're no different, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, verse 18. Give ear, our God, and hear, open your eyes, and see the desolation of the city that bears your name. We do not make requests of you because we are righteous, but because of your great mercy. All right, this is my favorite part of this prayer, okay? 19, look at this. Lord, listen. Lord, forgive. Lord, hear and act. Do something about it. For your sake, my God, do not delay, because your city and your people bear your name. God, I need you to show up, and I need you to show up now. That's a prayer like Rick would pray. I wouldn't get the other stuff right, but do we come before God impatient? We do. And I think that's fantastic. Why? Because God has big, big shoulders. And when we show up like that, is he going to throw us out? I don't. That is just exciting to me.
Desperation prayer.
It's desperation, but he's trying to move God. He's trying to push him ahead, right? Now, I'm not going to say that God's going to change his timing because we get excitable before God. I just think that God doesn't get offended by us when we get excited, okay?
I think it's how fervent the prayer is.
Yep.
We get in a jam. It's one thing to talk to God on a daily basis, but when we get into a jam that we've caused, now all of a sudden we expect God to act now.
Yes.
And get us out of it.
Yes.
I have one question. I understand Jerusalem with the destruction, but why does he separate Judah, Jerusalem, and all of Israel, both near and far? Why? Because he's already talking about all the people. He says
The kingdoms broke up at different times.
Yeah.
So when Daniel was when Daniel was taken into captivity, he was an Israelite, right?
Right.
So there was the kingdom of Israel in the northern half, and then there's the kingdom of Judah in the southern half. And I think Judah might still exist at this point, and then at some point Judah falls,
Yeah.
and then when Judah falls, because Jerusalem's in the northern half, right? It would have been in
Yeah.
Israel,
Well,
and then the capital of Judah. I'm trying to remember from.
I'm-
Not that that's a,
But
they were different people. That's why.
but they're all Israelites.
yep. And he's
Yes
just,
and
well, he's calling, I'll just say in a nutshell, he's calling it all out, okay? He's calling it all out. All right?
Yeah.
There's another rabbit hole there that Tanner wants to go down, and I want to just keep us on the rails for a little bit. Okay? Thank you, Keith. All right. Okay. I think we're at verse 20, right?
Yes.
Okay. Gabriel is going to tell him about the city, the temple, and the people. So we're about to have the angel Gabriel show up, all right? And he's going to tell him the future history of Israel. So here we go. This is where it starts to get wild. While I was speaking and praying, confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel, and making my request to the Lord my God for his holy hill, while I was still in prayer, Gabriel, the man I had seen in the earlier vision, came to me in swift flight about the time of the evening sacrifice. Okay, we talked about this quite a bit last week. So we have Gabriel, who's the messenger angel who shows up, right? He looks like a man. We're going to see that he actually touches Daniel, and so we know that he's not a ghost. Okay? Again, the word Gabriel means the strong one of the strong God. That's who's before him. The other cool part about this is that Daniel gets an instant response to his request. And so when we go back to verse, was it 19, where I got all excited? I got excited because Daniel got excited, and then it appears like God got excited because he immediately responded. I love that. Just real fast, I want to just look at what time of the day did this happen. It happened at the time of the normal evening sacrifice. And so it would have been about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And two quick things. One we talked about before. Are there any evening sacrifices going on right now in the city of Jerusalem, in the temple? And the answer is no, okay? But Daniel is diligent, and he kept his devotion. He was praying like his normal self at 3 in the afternoon. He's hundreds of miles away, but he's absolutely diligent to his God. The second part is that the evening sacrifice is the lamb sacrifice. And when you take the context of the lamb sacrifice, what time of the day did Jesus die on the cross?
3.
3 o'clock. That's just a little nugget in a nutshell there. Okay? All right. Verse 22. He instructed me, and he said to me, okay, just one pause. He says, I'm going to instruct you and make you smarter. What do we know about Daniel? He's the smart one. I think this is awesome that he gets this double dose here, okay? Pay attention, Daniel. I'm going to make you smarter. He instructed me, and he said to me, Daniel, I have now come to give you insight and understanding. And I know I'm beating a dead horse, but who had more insight in that kingdom than Daniel? Nobody. Okay? God's given him more. All right. As soon as you began to pray, a word went out. Daniel, as soon as you started to pray, an answer to your prayer was sent immediately. A word went out, which I have come to tell you. And that's why I'm here. I'm going to give you the answer that you're looking for. Okay, stop for 1 second. Daniel is praying because he wants to know that God is going to take care of this 70-year captivity, right? But in the end, God shows up and gives him the answer to that, as well as what? As well as What's going to happen for the rest of humanity? Okay? He asked God for something like this, and God showed up and gave him this. All right? So don't miss that part. As soon as you began to pray, a word went out, which I have come to tell you, for you are highly esteemed. Paraphrase, I love you very, 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 very much. That is so good. Okay? Therefore, consider the word and understand the vision. And so again, we're going to go into the future of Israel's history. I know that's backwards because history is backwards and we're talking prophecy, we're going forward. Get it all in there, okay? Verse 24. Who's good at math in the room? I know a couple of you are, so we'll come to you later. Just be prepared to do math, okay? 77s are decreed for your people. Who's your people? Who is Daniel's people? The Jew. Okay? Your people in your holy city. What city is that? Jerusalem. To finish transgression, to put an end to sin. This is a summary of history here. Okay? To atone for wickedness, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy place. Whew, that's a bunch. We're going to break it down, but that he just summarized all of history right there. Okay? All right. First, we need to start by learning how to do Jewish math. Okay? All right, I don't want to get derailed here. If you just did one of these morning devotions, okay? You said, Lord, teach me. And you did that, and it just happened to fall to this Daniel 9. You know, I mean, come on, you guys have done this at least once in your life, right? You went, I need to get a word from you today, Lord. And you did, boom, the Bible opened, and you did one of these, and then you started from there. I'm just going to say, once in a while that actually works, but I wouldn't throw that out there as like super theologically sound practices, all right? However, if you did that and you went down and you said 77s are decreed for your people, what would you think? I wouldn't think anything because I wouldn't get it, all right? So let's dig through the math. And I'm just going to say that I don't know how many times that I've been through Daniel. I've learned way more because I've had to. I'm not the expert, but the problem with Rick when he goes through some of this is I don't understand why. And so when I don't understand why, I forget about it. Because why? What did I just say? I didn't understand it. Why is this happening? And so when I started to dig into this, I was frustrated because I'm thinking back in my head to Uncle Dwayne who loved Daniel, okay? And being in college and just reading on my own. And you get to Daniel and you get to this part and the wheels would come off my tricycle because I don't know where to go with this. And not that I have all the answers here, okay? I'm just telling you that I ground it out so it would make sense in my head. My prayer today is that whatever mess happened in my head this week and last week, that it would sprinkle out enough to make sense to you. And so if it's not making sense to you, will you just say, hey, you make no sense to me. And I won't be offended. I want to back up again so we can tiptoe through the tulips until we get this. Because again, if you understand why, it all of a sudden starts to make sense. I want it to make sense. Okay, that was a long tirade to get to this point. What in the world is 77s? And in the past, whoever was telling me about Daniel would say this: 77 is about years of weeks. And so then they would just cruise right along. But what didn't I get? Why? Why should I believe you? Why is your answer to this question the right answer? And as we think about eschatology, here's what happens. Some people will say that 70 weeks is talking about days. And some people will say it's talking about weeks. And some people will say it's talking about years. And some people will say it's literal. And some people will say it's symbolic. And some people will say it's poetic. And some people say, I've had enough. I don't get it. Okay? And stepping into this, in the beginning, I felt like a person who was learning how to swim, who didn't know how to swim, and I just got thrown into the deep end of the pool. So, how about if we go to the pool together and walk through this a little bit so that, and let me just pause for 1 second. Some of you get this. Some of you had walked through this and dug through this and you get it, right? Who will say, yep, I get this? Nobody? Dan, raise your hand. Come on. Keith?
Some of it.
Yeah, that was where I was. And Brenda probably to attest that if I'm doing my thing over in the corner and I'll let out some grunting noises, what does that mean? It means I'm either hungry or I don't get it. So there was grunting noises in my house, okay? Sorry for that, but I felt like I was alone out on an island, and I'm like, I've heard this so many times, how come I don't understand it? And then I listed off all these days, weeks, months, symbolic, poetic, literal. Let me just say this. How you answer that question changes the path that you're going to take for the rest of eschatology. Okay? Right? Do you get that? If you say this is only symbolic, it takes you down a path. And if you say this is literal, it's going to take you down a path. All right? I don't know what path you all are on. Is that fair? Okay. So I'm not trying to put you back on the freeway, on Rick's freeway. I just want you to get that how you answer this question will change the direction that you're going to go. Because remember, if you remember how we started this eschatology, we said when you put on your lenses and the view that you take, everything else looks like you looking through your lenses. And if my lenses are a different prescription, what happens? I'm going to see it differently. And that's the part where we need to have a little grace with each other, because some of you have certain vision and some of you can't see near and some of you can't see far. But we're all in this together, okay? All right, let's step into the pool, okay? I want to start by, let's go to Ezekiel. We're going to go to Ezekiel 4:6 and Numbers 14:34. And in those two verses, we're going to see an expansion of days into years. So we're going to see how God lays out, listen, this is going to happen one day for each year of something that you did, okay? So let's start there. And if somebody has Ezekiel 4:6, would you read that?
After you have finished this, lie down again, this time on your right side, and bear the sin for the house of Judah. I have assigned you 40 days, a day for each year.
I have assigned you 40 days,
A day for each year.
a day for each year. So he put it into context. In that context, he said a day equals
1 year.
a year in that context, okay? And then go to Numbers 14. 14:34. And it says, for 40 years, 1 year for each of the 40 days you explored the land. Okay? 1 day for a year. So just keep walking with me. And the similarity there, the context there, it was 1 day for a year for your iniquities. All right? And this is the same context that Daniel is in. It is days into years for your iniquities. Just, if you're looking at me with a blank stare, let's just say it together. Days into years for your iniquities. Now, say it one more time. Days into years for messing up. Okay? I'm bringing wrath to you because you screwed up. And this is days into years. Okay? Let's keep going forward. Daniel 9. Okay, this is going to get real nerdy. Okay? So just stay with me. Okay? Daniel 9 uses the Hebrew word shavuim to represent a period of time multiplied by 7. I'm going to slowly explain to you the reason why. This is the part that I never got, okay? For various reasons, this word is translated as weeks. So in the Hebrew, that word is translated into weeks. And it means multiple of 7 years rather than a multiple of 7 days. Did everybody take that ride with me right there or not? Do we need to do it again? Okay. The Hebrew word there represents a period of time multiplied by 7. So if we go back, we're gonna get to the numbers in a minute, but the 70 of 7s, we're gonna do multiplication. That Hebrew word means we're gonna do some math. Okay? Get ready to do math in 7s. So, what is the word? SHAVUIM. And I would try to give you the Hebrew symbols, only it wouldn't mean anything to you or I. Okay?
No, I was like, what verse are you on right now?
I'm not in a verse. I'm just describing the word to describe the math that is used in the verse. Okay? Basically, you ask the word is weeks. Okay? All right. We see a similar use of this verse. Here's the verse. You shall count 7 Sabbaths of years, 7 years 7 times, 49 years. I know I lost you. I know I did. Okay? Go to Leviticus 25. Okay? This is really important. And when you get this locked into your head, you're going to feel great. All right? Leviticus 25, verse 8. Count off 7 Sabbath years, 7 times 7 years. All right? It helps if your eyes actually go to your Bible and read it. The Bible, we didn't just show up to Daniel 9 and he threw out something brand new. I'm giving you all this information because I want you to understand when Daniel got the message from Gabriel, he understood because he understood Jewish math. Okay? I don't understand Jewish math, which is why I'm taking so long to grind through this. I want you guys to understand that Daniel was a smart dude. He understood his Jewish culture, and when they used these words, he understood the math. Okay? Let me just keep grinding through this. A Sabbath is a period of 7 days. We know that, right? And it shares the same Hebrew word for the word Shavua that means week. Normally, just ride this with me, okay? Normally, the plural of week would be Shavuot. In Daniel, it uses the masculine ending for Shavuim, similar to years. And so it indicates Shavuim is referring to a multiple of 7 years. Okay. In summary, because I want us to get our feet back underneath us, both Jews and Christians agree that this is talking about multiples of years. Okay? Also, the Mishnah agrees with the 70 weeks of years. The Jewish commentaries agree with the 70 weeks of years. 77s of years would have been meaningful to the Jews. Okay? I want us to get that part right. That even if we don't understand all of the Hebrew terms that I listed off to you, I want you to get that it was making sense to Daniel when he said it. Okay? Also, that Daniel's been thinking in terms of years in the context of the prophecy that he's seen fulfilled right before his eyes. Okay? The 70 is years. All right. The meaning of the weeks word is specific to the context that it is given here. And Daniel understood the context. All right? Again, this is about Daniel's people. It's about the Jews. It's about his holy city, Jerusalem. All right. 70 weeks decreed for the people of Israel in the city of Jerusalem. So we got to go back to Daniel. Does anybody feel like they need to stand up and stretch? Kind of get all shook up again here? Okay? All right. Daniel 9. 70 weeks decreed for the people of Israel in the city of Jerusalem. We're gonna push ahead and understand the breakdown, but I'm just gonna tell you ahead of time that this time period is divided into 3 sections. It is a total of 77s of years. How many years is that? 70 times 7. Where's our math people at? 490. Okay? It's divided into 3 sections. The first section is 7 years of 7. What is 7 times 7? 49 years. Okay? First section, 49 years. The next section that we're going to see is that it's 62 weeks of years. We got to keep going back to that. And 62 times 7 is what? Come on, Maya. 483 years. Okay? Now, we've been talking in context about 70 years of 7s. And we said it was 490. Now, we took 49 and we got our 400 and... I got to look at my notes. At the end of the day, when we're done with our math, we are short 1 year, or to say it differently, 1 year of 7 years. We are short that 7-year period, okay? So we're broken into 3 sections, as we're going to see, all right? It's going to take 70 years of 7 weeks, the 70 weeks, the 490 years. That's what it's going to take for God to lay out mankind's history. All right? We got it that far? Okay. Then let's keep going here. Where am I? What verse am I on? I am on 24. Okay. Just a couple things. The word decree comes out. That word decree means that God's saying, I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to fully restore Israel. Cut out is the same as saying I'm determined, is the same as saying I'm going to divide, I'm going to splice. It's saying the plan is set. I have laid out specifically what this timetable is going to look like. These are the years, and I determined this is how it's going to be. All right? Go back to how we started a couple weeks ago when we said, when we went back and read Isaiah. And God said, I will do what I want. Why? Because I'm God. Okay? And we're like, all right, you're in charge. This is how it's going to work out. Okay? All right. Let me cheat code and jump through a little bit. It's going to be 49 years to rebuild the city and its walls. Okay, that's the first section. It's going to be 483 years until the Messiah is going to come to earth. Okay? And now we're going to push ahead in Scripture, and the point of it is to say this. It's going to answer this question. What is the purpose of this decree that God just made? What's the purpose of the decree?
Is it sort of like a covenant?
This is...
It's showing Daniel because he says, how long are you going to... So it's kind of showing Daniel.
Daniel asked the question, when are we going back to the city? And God showed up and said, I'm going to tell you, and I'm also going to tell you a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay? All related to the covenant that God made with them. All right? Okay. We're going to look at 6 things. The first 3 deal with man, and the second 3 deal with the righteousness of God in the kingdom age. I don't know why this is giving me trouble. Okay. Oh boy. Let's just start this. We're not going to get very far, but if you go back to verse 24, he lists off the 6 different things that are going to happen, okay? And his purpose, more importantly, his purpose for that to happen. So, again, it's his predetermined plan. Number 1, the decree came out. Number 1, to finish transgression. Okay, finish transgression. The root word for that is rebel, and so we already kind of talked about that. We could use the word apostasy. Again, the same as rebel. And this is how Rick remembers this. What are we saying? It is the rejection of the king. Okay. If we want to, and we do want to, we want to go to Zechariah 12, okay? And this is where we're going to finish. Zechariah 12, 10 and 11. And I will pour out on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and supplication. They will look on me, the one they have pierced, and they will mourn for him as the one mourns for an only child, and grieves bitterly for him as the one grieves for a firstborn son. Even, I found this interesting, even ancient references in the Talmud interpret Zechariah as being applied to the Messiah. And so here's Old Testament being applied to Christ, okay? Some of that even identified the mourning of the death. Not the mourning as in AM, but the tragedy of it. Okay, the mourning. And this part is important. I hate that we're just starting this because we might have to back up and start this piece again next week. It's important. Let me just read this one piece to you. This type of mourning that we just talked about would be like a great national mourning that gripped everyone, like experienced by the death of Josiah. Let's see, did I not read that far enough? Go back to Zechariah 12. Here we go. Can I just read a little bit more and make sense out of this for you guys? And I will pour out on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and supplication. They will look on me, the one they have pierced, and they will mourn for him as the one mourns for an only child and grieves bitterly for him as one grieves for a firstborn son. On that day, the weeping in Jerusalem will be as great as the weeping of Hadad Raman in the plain of Megiddo. Does everybody get that part? Okay, what's the history on that? It is the same as the mourning, the sadness of King Josiah's death. Yes, okay? So King Josiah dies, and the people of the country are mourning deeply. And so why does that matter? It matters because we're going to take this parallel of King Josiah, who was the last hope of the declining kingdom. Why does that matter? Because we're walking this parallel where we're talking about the Messiah. The Messiah is the last hope of what? A dying kingdom. Just get that little nugget in there because I thought it was cool. Okay? And that's a great place. Aubrey says we need to be done. Okay? All right, let's pray. Father, thank you for taking us to the deep end of the pool. Help us to lock at least some of that in so that we understand the past, the present, and the future, that we understand your plan, and that we can be so confident that you have us in the palm of your hand. Thank you for loving even us. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.